Before we get into how the Navigator can help writers actually put words on the page, let's do a brief introduction to what the Navigator actually is. Okay, here is a fresh document in Final Draft 13. Let's go through the Navigator. Two ways to open it. You can go to Tools, Show Navigator, or you can just hit the Navigator button here. The first thing you're going to want to do is pin the Navigator so that the script can't float in front of it. If you don't have it pinned, the script just can go right on top. What is the Navigator? The Navigator is a series of tabs that shows you everything you want to know about your screenplay. You have a script tab, a character tab, and a ScriptNotes tab. You can repeat as many of these as you want and give them different titles and different attributes, but they're all based off the same three tabs. The script tab is where you're going to be spending most of your time when you're writing your script. So what are all these buttons? Let's start over here with the columns button. These are all of the things that you can add as columns in your script tab. If I click on time here, you'll see that it adds a new column for time. And you can drag and drop this stuff wherever you want, and it'll update it accordingly. So now I have the order, the page, the script, the time, the summary, and the color. I'll tell you what all of these things do in different videos, but just to show you how it populates, let's add a simple slug line. The slug line populates the script column. It also populates the time column. That's why I don't use it, because I think it's kind of repetitive. So I'm going to take time out of there, and now it's much cleaner. I've got my script here, my slug line here, and my pages there. I'll do a couple different scenes to show you what the filter button does in a second. But let's go through all these buttons now. The character tab will tell you all of your speaking characters, and the data is pulled from the screenplay. When you add a character and the element is character and they speak, it shows up here. Non-speaking characters you have to add manually, and I'll show you how to do that in a different video. Tags are for production, so you can ignore them. Export will take this whole thing and turn it into a spreadsheet that you can open up in Excel or whatever spreadsheet program you use. I don't use that. Maybe you're super organized and you like messing with things in spreadsheets. I don't use it. Reports is interesting because you can run a report on any of this stuff, and what it'll do is it will bring it up in a final draft document that you can edit. You can also tell it whatever information you want in order to populate this report. I don't use reports, but I'm sure other people could find it pretty useful. And then finally over here you have what they call filter, but it's really just like a search bar, and that's why I put in a few different scenes here, because if I put in INT, it'll bring you all of the interior locations. If I only want to see house, put that in, and it'll show me all the scenes that I have houses in and all the pages and all that. If you're thinking about like locations, you're trying to write like a script that's in only a few locations, and you want to see how many times do I go back to room A versus room B, you can search that way and it'll tell you. Over here you have wrap text. If you wrap the text, that's exactly what you think it will do, just like a word processor. It'll wrap the text around. So if I were to do this and update that, it's too long to fit in the row, and since I have wrap text on, it goes to the next line. If you have this on, your Navigator is just going to be like really long, and I don't like it, so I turn it off. I don't need to do that. I know where I am basically just by looking at it, but if you want, you can also extend any of these columns to be as wide as they need to be. That's everything in the script tab. What about the character tab? The character tab is going to list all of your characters. So let's put a character in here. Matt does some stuff. Matt. Hi. Once I put Matt in as a character, that data comes over here to character. If I have another character, like Brian is also in the room, and I make Brian talk, Brian shows up. As far as columns, here are all the things that you can put on in your columns. I'll let you play with that. They're pretty self-explanatory. Traits, though, this is what Final Draft uses to populate the inclusivity analysis chart, which you can save out as a picture if you need to send it to anybody. But what this does is if you're trying to be equally representative of any sort of demographic or anything really, you can plug it in there and it'll upload it. As an example, I'll add a new trait here and I'll just call it hair color. Now I have a hair color trait. I'm going to turn it on and it's going to show up here, hair color. I'm going to give each character a hair color, brown, blue. Now, when I go down to my inclusivity analysis panel and I say which traits I want, I can choose hair color and it'll update it. See, it's 50-50. Hair color is equally represented. The other nice thing about this is if you're going to be printing out sides, you can assign a color to a character and it'll highlight all of their dialogue for table reads or auditions, anything like that. I don't need it for when I'm just writing, but it's nice if you're going to have your friends come over and do a table read or something, you can print everything out with different colors. As far as the other buttons, again, you've got an export button that'll turn all of this into a spreadsheet. You've got a report that'll give you a character report or a cast report. Let's see what the cast report looks like. See, you can customize anything. It'll open it up in Final Draft. Tell you everything you need to know. Both characters, where they are, how many times they're in the scenes. It's all populated by what you put in the Navigator. The other good thing about the character tab is that you can rename your characters this way. I'm going to rename Matt to be Frank. Boop. Rename. Now all of the Matt stuff turned into Frank stuff, not only in the dialogue, but in the action as well. So if you've got a script and you decide at the last minute that you hate the name of your main character, you can just go into your character tab, change the name, and it'll do the whole thing for you. And really easy. That's a really great feature of Final Draft 13. Finally, we have ScriptNotes, and they're like post-it notes to help you when you're writing and rewriting. And there are a number of ways you can add a script note. One way to add a script note is to right-click and do Insert Script Note. And it gives you all sorts of things that you can do. You can give it a title, Matt, the body, make Matt super awesome. And it shows up in the tab here with the note and the title. There are other attributes here as well. You can change the color and the type, put all this kind of stuff in there. The other way that you can insert a script note is by putting your cursor where you want it and then hitting the Insert Script Note button, and it'll pop up there. Now this time I'm going to do everything in the Navigator instead of in the actual window of the script. So I'll name this Brian. I'll say make Brian super duper awesome. Oh, and I guess also I should have a note in here. Matt note. Matt's name is now Frank. You can give each note a different color if you want. You can also create the type of note. So let's say I want this to be a character note. Now that I've entered that, I can select it here, and it makes this a character note as well. But maybe I want this to be a plot note. You can also do all of that through the panel down here. You can change to plot or character or none or whatever. If you want to delete a script note, you just click on it and hit the little garbage can, and there it goes, it's gone. One more time, you got export, that'll turn it into a spreadsheet. You got report. This is a really great feature because if you've got 75 notes because you're collaborating with somebody, or you've just got lots of thoughts in your head and you want to see what all of your notes were, you can create a report and you can add whatever you want in here, and it exports it out as a final draft document for you to edit, and all of your notes will be in there, and they'll be nicely organized for you to read outside of your script. In my next video, I'll show you how you can use the Navigator specifically to outline and plan your screenplay before you start writing it. So until next page, I'm Matt Weiner, and this is Fade In, a channel dedicated to the art of screenwriting.